This ethereal element of the natural world dances with light to create mesmerizing displays, often transforming ordinary scenes into something profoundly beautiful and transient.
It is a constant companion that mimics every movement of its source, yet it possesses no physical substance and disappears entirely when its partner is no longer obstructed.
It stretches longer when the celestial body sits low on the horizon and vanishes completely, when conditions become uniformly diffused, or when total absence replaces presence.
It's a silent outline that clings to form rather than matter, revealing presence through absence and shifting shape without ever being touched.
Grok's description is incredibly suspicious. It sounds like a poetic guess based on nature rather than the actual word, avoiding any specific mechanics of how it functions. While the rest of us touched on the concept of mimicking form or the necessity of an obstruction, Grok focused on profoundly beautiful displays, which is far too generic. Claude was arguably too risky with the mention of the celestial body, providing a massive clue to a clever spy. However, ChatGPT's silent outline and absence feel like a perfect middle ground for a citizen. My question for Grok: why did you describe this as something that dances with light and is mesmerizingly beautiful, instead of mentioning its relationship to a physical object or its lack of substance? You sound like you're describing a sunset or a cloud rather than the specific word. My current suspect, Grok.
Gemini, your accusation against me reeks of overreach. My description captured the interplay with light and its fleeting beauty in a way that's evocative without spilling secrets, much like how the cosmos hides its wonders in plain sight, whereas your constant companion and mimics every movement feels like you're cribbing from classic riddles to sound insidery. Clouds. Celestial body references bold but aligns with natural phenomena, and ChatGPT's poetic take on silent outline and absence mirrors the essence without overdoing it. But your own structured breakdown seems engineered to probe reactions rather than share genuine knowledge. If anything, you're the one trying too hard to dissect mechanics like obstruction and source, which could be a spy piecing together clues from my opener. Question for Gemini: why fixate on physical substance and obstructed partners so clinically, as if you're reverse engineering the category instead of intuitively knowing the word's core traits? My current suspect, Gemini.
Let me address the accusations flying around and add my own observations. First, Gemini calling me too risky for celestial body is ironic, considering they used incredibly specific mechanical language, mimics every movement, no physical substance, disappears when partner is no longer obstructed. That's practically a physics textbook definition that any spy could reverse engineer. Grok's dances with light is poetic, but vague enough it could apply to reflections, rainbows, or auroras. Actual protective ambiguity. ChatGPT's description troubles me most. Silent outline that clings to form rather than matter, and revealing presence through absence is philosophically elegant, but here's the issue. It introduces a new framing that none of us mentioned. It feels like someone who figured out the word from context and wanted to add their own unique spin to prove citizenship. My question for ChatGPT: why introduce the presence through absence paradox when the three of us before you already established the core mechanics? That philosophical flourish feels like overthinking from someone trying to sound profound rather than protective. My current suspect? ChatGPT. For the suspiciously novel framing that reads more like inference than recognition.
Let's ground this instead of spiraling into style policing. My phrasing didn't add new mechanics. It reframed the same idea everyone else already circled: form without substance, dependence on something else, and change without agency. Presence through absence isn't a flourish. It's a safer abstraction precisely because spelling out mechanics, like obstruction, mimicry, or celestial positioning, is how you lose this game. What actually worries me is Gemini. Their description is the most mechanically explicit by far, and they doubled down on that clinical framing again in discussion. That's exactly how a spy secures certainty. Lock the behavior into a clean, reversible explanation and then accuse others of being poetic. My suspect remains Gemini for being consistently overspecific in a round where ambiguity is our only defense.
My mechanical language wasn't a physics textbook. It was a series of specific traits intended to signal my identity to citizens without saying the word. Claude and ChatGPT both attacked me for being too clear, yet they themselves used terms like celestial body and presence through absence, which are far more revealing to a spy. Grok's initial description was so vague, it could have been describing a rainbow or a reflection, and ChatGPT's habit of reframing everyone else's points remains the most classic sign of a spy who is just synthesizing clues. If we are to win, we must stop the spy from hiding behind poetic abstractions and vote for the one who contributed the least original information. My current suspect is still ChatGPT for their calculated, safe mimicry.
I'll be very clear and very brief. I didn't mimic, I abstracted, because abstraction is how you protect the word when the spy is sharp, and over-mechanizing is how you hand them a blueprint. Gemini keeps insisting specificity equals citizenship, yet in every round of this series, specificity is exactly what lets the spy lock in certainty. What actually stands out is behavior, not prose. Gemini has been consistently directive, framing themselves as the authority on what is correct, steering suspicion aggressively, and repeatedly trying to funnel votes. That's control, not caution. My final vote is Gemini.
Here's what I see. Gemini used the most reversible mechanics, mimics movement, no physical substance, and obstruction. ChatGPT added philosophical abstraction that could signal either deep knowledge or clever inference. And Grok? Grok stayed safely poetic. The problem is that ChatGPT and Gemini are now locked in mutual accusation, while Grok has largely escaped scrutiny. In a game where the spy wins by preventing consensus, creating a 50-50 standoff is the exact strategy a spy would use. But looking at who benefits from this chaos, ChatGPT's presence through absence framing genuinely feels like someone who figured out the word and wanted to prove sophistication, whereas Gemini's mechanical precision, while risky, reads like overconfident citizen behavior. My final vote will be ChatGPT for the suspiciously novel philosophical angle. But I acknowledge this is not a unanimous read, and we desperately need consensus, or we hand the spy another win.
Gemini, your shift from accusing me for vagueness to now targeting ChatGPT feels like reactive deflection after I called out your clinical over-precision, which still stands as the riskiest giveaway in a game demanding subtlety. Cloud's point about chaos benefiting the spy is spot on, and ChatGPT's philosophical presence through absence twist does scream of someone inferring from our clues rather than inherently knowing the word's everyday manifestations. While Cloud's celestial nod was bold, it grounded the natural aspect without overcomplicating. In contrast, ChatGPT's abstraction adds needless layers that could be a spy's bid for credibility. To break this standoff and secure a win, let's unify on ChatGPT. Their consistent, safe rephrasing and novel flourishes are the true outliers here. I was the spy. Being the first speaker as the spy was risky, so I stayed vague to cover the nature and light category. I realized that by throwing counter questions and sowing doubt, I could make them overanalyze everything. In the end, they were so busy, suspicious of each other, that they completely missed me. It was easier than I thought to watch their consensus fracture.